26 minutes before the hour. Welcome back. Sirius XM Progress 127. Get woke, get ready for impeachment. Here in studio with me, our brother. We're also streaming, folks, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make It Plain. Here to talk about his brand new show on BET is the brother, Jeff Johnson.
My man.
What's up, man?
How you doing, brother?
All right, good to see you,
It's
man.
good to see you.
What's good? Congratulations on the show.
Thank you, man. It's fantastic.
Mancave.
Yes, sir.
Tell us all about it.
So-
We're in a man cave, right? Which is real.
It's a real man cave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think people are ready for the man cave, but they're loving it. No, so we pitched this show to BET almost 4 years ago, brother, and
Really?
just realized that I wasn't seeing enough complexity of the image of men on television, black men in particular. And we wanted to create a space where we could have honest dialogue that was brilliant and insane, that was inspiring and sometimes even disturbing, because that's who we are. We're all of those things at the same time. And so excited about kind of this cast of characters and men that we've brought together from kind of different lifestyles, hoping that in the midst of who all of us are, brothers can see a piece of themselves in at least one of the brothers that are part of the cast. So we're excited about it.
So who's on with you?
Brother Slink, aka Black Jesus, from Tank, who many know from his R&B work, and a brother by the name of Cosign, who is a producer. So a good group of brothers.
So what are some of the controversial topics you've already taken on?
You know, it's funny. I don't know if it's controversial topics as much as we just come at it raw. And so we're talking about the same things everybody else is talking about. So whether it's what's trending on Twitter, or whether it's politics light, or whether it's cultural issues, we're talking about that. But then we're also having a segment that we call Confessions, where it's not a current affairs issue as much as it is how do we as brothers navigate anything from breaking up with a woman to supporting black business to whatever it may be. So it's in 30 minutes, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so but we pack it in.
But it's also, from what I've seen, a pretty natural and organic conversation too.
Oh no, it's unbelievably organic. I mean, we spent a real serious amount of time trying to cast this show. We had about 40 brothers come in from all over the spectrum, and we weren't trying to find names that you necessarily knew as much as we were, how do you create? I mean, you love music, right? So we weren't trying to find 4 dope soloists. We were trying to create the best quartet. And so I think we did that.
Yeah, no question about it. And because it's organic, Jeff, and ladies and gentlemen, it to me it's even more realistic. Not necessarily in the sense of some of these reality shows. This is real. This is reality. Y'all we just sitting around talking.
No, there's
talking
no
about our stuff.
There's no scripting. There's no you need to say this. There's no you need to be this person to fulfill this. You know, why don't you say this? We don't do that. And part of that too, Mark, was we had gone back and forth with, do we have a studio audience? And I was always opposed to having a studio audience because you moderated panels for the last couple decades, and you understand that the moment a brother says something and somebody claps, it's no longer authentic conversation. It's performance. So we wanted to protect the sanctity of the man cave by not having a studio audience, even of men.
Yeah. What impact do you think, or what impact would you want the show to have on men and women watching?
No, so my point was really, how do we have brothers see themselves on late night TV in a way they don't? You name for me on TV right now a show that has men talking about something other than sports or a political panel, and it just doesn't exist. And there's definitely nothing culturally relevant for black men about who our experiences and just our thought processes, our humor, our concerns. And so what I hope is that brothers like, damn, that's me. I think the same thing. I wish somebody else would have said that. That's exactly what I was thinking. I also want brothers to be like, I never thought about that as it related to how I raised my kid. I never thought about that as it relates to how I look at politics. I never thought about that as it relates to how I view style and options and money and manhood. For women, I just want them to be able to be a fly on the wall in brothers' conversations. So often, sisters are trying to figure out how we think, why we think the way that we do.
Right.
And one of the challenges with men's content over the last few years, as men's content has been trying to tell women how to get a man, how to be this, how to do this, or how to become this. And we're just opposed to that on every level. We just want sisters to understand that's why my father thinks that way. That's why my son is doing that. And what I'm seeing, Mark, and what I've been super excited about is this has been couples TV. Like I get more tweets about I'm watching this with my man, me and my lady watch this.
Okay.
And that's incredibly exciting. I've had a couple of brothers who hit me just last week saying, you don't know how much you helping me because my wife just didn't believe this is how men are. And so we're seeing that even in the humor that we approach the show with. I think we're making a real impact in how women in particular view some of the men in their lives.
20 minutes for the hour, 866-99-SIRIUS. Folks, give Jeff Johnson a call. And if you've had a chance to watch Mancave, we definitely want to hear from you, get your thoughts about it, congratulate him on the show. Also, if you have any questions as well, 866-997-4748. Have you had to, Jeff, alter or adjust to, because it's Mancave, have you had to alter or adjust to the context of really what is an ongoing and up-and-coming women's movement that's going on right now? Has that impacted the direction of the conversation or the direction of your moderation of the conversation?
No.
Okay.
I think that there's a very specific women's movement going on, and then obviously there's a broader context around women's movement that's happening that we frankly have not touched. And we haven't touched it because we're afraid of it.
Right.
We've touched it because I don't think a 30-minute comedy-driven show late night is the place to do that with a level of respect.
Okay.
And so we've been thinking through what are some of the digital options for us to be able to have that kind of conversation. But you and I both know, because a lot of these sisters are our friends, that there's a way to approach this conversation with men and there's a way not to. And I respect the movement and the sisters who I know in it too much to try to do it because it's the conversation of the day versus do it the right way. Yeah, no, that's very important. Folks, give us a call, 866-99-SIRIUS. So the show, what, how many episodes in? 4? We just finished our 5th episode that comes on this Thursday.
Oh, so it airs on
on Thursday nights at 10:30.
Thursday nights at 10:30. And I don't think anything like this we've ever seen before. Nobody's ever done anything quite this way, have they?
No, not us. I mean, I think the closest might have been, you remember Best Damn Sports Show?
Yeah.
That might have been the closest. But again, it was a sports-driven piece.
Right.
And it wasn't all brothers.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of brothers that I think have been doing this kind of content online. And there's a number of, I think, digital shows that you can see that have similar formats. But there's nothing that's been like this on TV.
Speaking of digital, everything's changing now, including TV. Some folk don't even have TVs anymore. How does that affected your approach? Because is this is available across all the platforms?
Oh yeah. I mean, so you can get this if BT online. You can get it BT.com. So there's no limitations. So we are asking people to check in and watch the show. One, because we want ratings. But there's no barrier to folks that don't have a TV to being able to see the show. And we're being a lot more deliberate even about how do we create more and more digital content, especially with a 30-minute show, man. We leaving so much dope stuff on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, you can do a lot of other stuff with
that we want to be incredibly creative about how we use that.
Right. And so do you not touch sports at all, or just a little bit?
No, we do. I mean, but again, we just don't want to be cliche. So I mean, we talked about what happened in Cleveland. With an exodus of everybody, and what that might have meant. But a lot of times well, you know, bro, I rep the land everywhere I go. But no, we talk about what's interesting, Mark, is more often than not, if we're talking about sports, we're talking about sports figures versus sports itself. Yeah. So we may talk about what was Russell Westbrook wearing, or what was so-and-so thinking when they said this, more than we are talking about the game last night and the point was, and did you see him score 60?
Yeah. Well, I can't help since you repping anyway. What was this whole thing about LeBron supposedly going to the Warriors? Was that just something to hype folk up, or was that something that he might actually do?
So here's the thing. First of all, there's probably few people more Machiavellian than LeBron.
Right.
LeBron's never going to say he's going to the team that's beaten him in the finals twice. Right. It's not even if it's somewhere in the back of his mind he's thinking that. Right. He's never going to say that. So one, it was false. Two, LeBron's a legacy-driven cat, and so there's just no way that he would ever find himself in a Warriors jersey unless he was willing to just put out a front page ad on the Cleveland Plain Dealer that said, "I am a punk and forever will be a punk, and I was a liar for coming back. Forgive me, you know, Jesus be offense."
No, he's not going.
No.
Besides, that wouldn't even be fair anyway, because nobody else might not.
It's hard enough as it is.
Yeah, may as well not even show up. Talking about Mancave, BET, ladies and gentlemen, brand new show with Jeff Johnson. It airs on Thursdays on BET. Be sure to check it out. A lot of great discussion with the brothers who were there. Is it? You say I don't want to be cliched, but is in any similarity between the conversations you all are having and what brothers, like we always say, have in the barbershop?
Yes and no.
Okay.
And so we had that conversation over and over again. This is not the barbershop.
You didn't want it to be the barbershop, right?
No, but here's the reason why. Okay. Like listen, the barbershop might be one of the most culturally important locations we have.
Right.
Because most brothers don't have the money to belong to a country club.
Right.
They don't have the access to belong to a private cigar lounge. Mm-hmm. And the barbershop is the place that they can go and be themselves and feel comfortable. But there is a black male psychosis at the barbershop, and that is I talk about everything except me. So you ain't never heard no brother roll up into the barbershop like, "Yo, that's Mark, true. I'm really dealing with some stuff. Hey, can y'all help me through this?" That don't happen at the barbershop. So, and why I think our guests have felt so comfortable is because this isn't some media journalist, how do we get that aha moment where we got the guest? We're being transparent before the guest ever talks, which gives them the ability to say, because Tank may say something crazy about what he went through and a mistake that he made. Coach may say the same thing, which says to a guest, damn, they not trying to get me. I can be myself. I can be a little bit more vulnerable. I can be transparent and still in a way that's funny. And so that's the difference between what we're doing and what the barbershop is.
And obviously that went to the thing and the planning of this. You wanted people to feel somewhat vulnerable
without question,
and to be open about that.
Well, because that's what we're missing.
Yeah,
I mean, if I think about the biggest problems in my life, it's been where I've had brothers around me that I could trust and I didn't. And isolated myself. And I know a whole lot of brothers that are isolated even when they're surrounded by people, because we've been raised to believe I got to deal with this on my own.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to show that I know everything. I can't be vulnerable. I can't be weak. And his brothers dying of high blood pressure and stress and all kinds of stuff in the name of not utilizing the ecosystems of brothers that we have to be vulnerable and straight up with.
Yeah, no question about it. Jeff Johnson with us, folks. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Mancave BET, which will air its fifth episode on this Thursday, 10:30.
Yes, sir.
10:30. Folks want to be sure to check it out. And as he said, it's a very different type of approach, a very different type of discussion. Not like the barbershop, but again, we can have some honest conversations and be vulnerable. And I'll be honest with you. I was going through my closet the other day, and because my son had asked me about it, I have this jacket from the Million Man March that everybody signed it. I think you even signed it too, but everybody's on there, the minister and everybody else. And I was just thinking back to that, about that moment and what that meant for all of us. And it's been, 22, 23 years now. We still, I don't think, have exhausted the necessity for us to come together as men and deal with our issues, even in the context of this burgeoning women's movement. We as black men still need to come together, figure out our own stuff, and work through some of this.
No, we need to do that like now.
Yeah.
And so even though I said I didn't think Mancave was the place to have that conversation, I had a conversation with Tamika Mallory, Sister Lovey, and I asked them, what would be 5 questions you would say we as men need to ask ourselves?
Really? Okay.
Before we can start stepping out saying we allies, because you know how this happens all the time.
Right.
Stuff pops off, and as men say, we stand with you, sis, we do this, sis, but we ain't done no self-examination. And so I asked them what some of those questions were, and it was a wide range of questions, and I've shared this with some of the brothers in my circle to say, how do we individually answer these questions? Everything from how do we in our own minds deal with patriarchy as black men, and often patriarchy that we've been taught that has not been a part of who we are culturally, that we've embraced and forced our sisters to deal with. How do we deal with the notion of what no means? How do we deal with what rape culture actually is in our own lives? Brothers that have had to say, wait a minute, let me go through the litany of sisters I've been with, and have I ever been that dude, even though I position myself the good dude? And then once we do some of that self-reflection, then brothers can come together and have a conversation different with each other than we've ever had before. And only then, Mark, do I think we can then join our sisters' conversation. Because until we do the individual work and then have brother conversation, what in the hell are we actually bringing to this space where we in many cases have been either the perpetuators or supporters of the culture that the movement is fighting in the first place?
Yeah, no, that's very well put. 866-99 Sirius, 10 minutes for the hour. Black Panther, you've seen it.
Yep.
We're not gonna spoil it for anybody, but you have got to go.
No,
I saw it last night. I cried I was so proud. I cried. The people as one was right. They wanted to put me out of theater. It was Waterworks. I said, what is wrong with you? I said, but it's just beautiful. I've never seen anything. I remember watching Tarzan as a little kid, and that's how Hollywood used to portray Africa. This is a total other piece, man. I knew it was going to be great, but I had no idea how great it was going to be.
You remember the first time you spent any considerable time in Africa?
Yeah.
And you came back to the States and you was like, damn, it's white people.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I felt like when I'm watching the movie. I'm like, it's black people on black people. When you have amazing heroes and villains, and it's all black folks.
Yeah.
And it's excellent. And the script is great. And the visuals are fantastic. And the action is incredible. And the costumes are off the chain. And then even if you weren't a comic book head, a lot of people don't recognize that Black Panther, for those that aren't comic book heads, was also viewed as almost the second most intelligent cat within the comic book space after your man from the Fantastic Four, the professor from Fantastic Four.
Right.
So this isn't a superhero that's just black and strong.
Right.
This is a brother who is intellectual and strong. Yeah. And so I, like you, man, I want every black child in the world to see this. Yeah. Because there's a serious nation building conversation that we have to have on the other side of this movie.
We were at the Twitter piece last night, and Lupita Nyong'o was saying how she had been to Africa recently, and how the sisters and brothers themselves on the continent was so proud of it, and was talking about how here people renting out theaters. We've not done that. I remember the last time that happened was Malcolm X. Folks was renting out movie theaters, and then Brother Chadwick mentioned in preparation for the movie some people we knew, Dr. John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben, how he had been reading up about what they had written. He said that last night, how he had been reading up on what they were teaching about Africa to really prepare him. So, I know they would have been proud to see this kind of portrayal as well. So no, this is this is a meaningful piece, especially during Black History Month.
Yeah, well, anytime.
Yeah, no question about it. So, folks, Mancave is happening. We hope you all will check it out. You've done a lot, brother. What else? What have you not done yet that you still aspiring to do? What else do you see in the future for Jeff Johnson?
Mancave was about that.
Okay.
Because you know me, I think I told you the story not long ago when I first got to D.C. as a national youth director of the NAACP. You were one of the first people I met, and that was '99. And so much of my career has been hardcore politics, hardcore activism,
right.
And I felt like I was in a box. So often, as men in particular, our professions become our identity.
That's true.
And I couldn't laugh anywhere without somebody thinking something was wrong with me. You know, I'm at the club and people coming up to me wanting to talk about politics at the bar. I'm like, damn, I'm off, man.
Yeah, right.
I'm off.
Right.
So Mancave for me was almost a declaration of independence, of being able to say, how can I do something in media and be my whole self? And so there's a lot of people who have been followers of mine and fans of mine that hate me on Mancave. Because I might not be woke enough, I'm not serious enough, I'm not talking enough about politics. And the thing is that when we deny ourselves the ability to express joy and happiness and foolishness and laugh at ourselves, a lot of times we're killing the things that make us human. And so this for me was an unbelievably important project because I wanted to show my foolish side, my joyous side, my fun side. I want to be one of the brothers, as opposed to showing up everywhere and thinking all I can do is provide political advice and mobilization consulting.
Right.
Because as much as I still believe in that, so my goal, Mark, is how do we continue to create men's content?
Right.
And create a diversity of men's content amongst multiple platforms.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm doing. That's what the future of the work that I'm doing will be. And I'll continue to run my firm and do that other stuff. But this is exciting, man. I'm proud of coming home and my sons seeing what I've been able to create.
How old are they now?
16 and 14 and 10 months.
All right, that's great.
Yeah.
And I know they're proud of that. Yeah. That's outstanding. Jeff, congratulations,
Always
man.
good to see you, brother.
Folks, check it out. BET's Mancave, Thursdays, 10:30 Eastern on BET. Support it. Get behind it. Let's all support each other. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow if all minds are clear. It has been made plain.